I really want to know, and I would love to dive into, is truly just like the origin story of the Jay Shetty that is sitting here with us today. And what for you initially sparked your love and interest in wellness?
That's a great question. I'd have to say it was my dad who was subtly trying in my teens to get me to read meaningful books.
Oh, wow.
And he was trying so hard to get me to read philosophy or theology or whatever it may have been that he was interested in. And I wasn't interested in any of it because I was a teenager. Like who at 14, 15 years old is thinking about wellness? You feel amazing, you feel indestructible.
Yeah.
And then I remember that somehow through his recommendations, I ended up finding the writings of Martin Luther King, biographies of Malcolm X. And then I was also reading the biographies of David Beckham and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson at the same time. This is when he was in the WWE.
Oh, wow.
And I was a big wrestling fan. And it sounds ridiculous, but it wasn't. It was this deep dive into how someone lived. And I still remember this story in David Beckham's autobiography where he would spend his Friday nights every week practicing free kicks. And so he would go and put the ball down. He'd stand 25 yards away from the goal and he'd try and put it in the top corner.
Yeah. Wow.
And he said that all his friends were out drinking or partying or, you know, meeting women or whatever it was, but he was there practicing. And I think it was little things like that where I thought, oh, wow, like that's fascinating to hear that someone who's as successful as he is had so much discipline early on.
Yeah.
Or I remember him saying that he couldn't drink before game day. And so he wasn't drinking alcohol like his friends were. He was drinking orange juice or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I think it was tiny little things like that. I remember The Rock talking about in his book about what he'd gone through in terms of depression and his relationship with his family. And I just couldn't, you know, now I think we have podcasts and we have all these conversations around people sharing their mental health stories or their morning routines or their evening routines. But at that time, it was so unique. And I would honestly say it was those real life stories of real people. And that's where I discovered that, you know, that age old wisdom or the quote that we've all heard that there's no such thing as a strong person with an easy past. And I started to realize that all these strong, incredible, powerful people had extremely uncomfortable, difficult pasts.
Yeah.
And it was how they reacted to them, how they adapted to them that transformed their life. And I feel those seeds were planted around that time. So that's, even though that wasn't directly wellness, there was a power to that idea that these people had sacrificed, they had discipline, they had worked towards their success, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow, that's such like a fascinating like thing to grab onto.
Yeah, especially at that age, like to be able to look forward and be like, you know, that, you know, I should get, you know, hold myself now if I want to be like that then. You know what's so crazy is the fact that you were fans of those two individuals back then and they, you know, sparked that within you. And I'm assuming here, I'm 99% sure on one. Have you had both of them on your podcast?
No, I haven't yet, but I got a voice note from The Rock like a couple of months back, and it was super sweet to, you know, hear from him. We've actually never met or even been in the same room with either of them.
Wow.
And I got a voice note that was like, let's figure it out. And so that was really sweet. It was a great moment. I've been a fan of him since I was like 15 years old.
That's so cool.
And to have that moment, and same with David Beckham, I'm waiting for that one.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that one. So,
David, hit him up.
but I'm very excited about it because, I was studying their life so early and have so much respect for them beyond just their success, but actually the journey that it took to get there.
Yeah. I feel like you and Dwayne would just be a match made in heaven. That would be cool.
Fingers crossed.
That's sweet. Okay, so then growing up, when did the idea of becoming a monk start? Because I just think